Now to get into using this system, when we plug it in, we'll go to some type of default screen. It may be the home screen, it may be time, it may be a photo album, or whatever it is. You're going to have a page that comes up, and to arm the system, we simply touch the screen, and the screen will always go to this page. This is the page that actually you're able to arm and disarm your alarm system. Now let's take a note of the things that you're seeing on the screen right now. We've got up in the upper left-hand corner the strength of your cell device. We have the time, and we have the actual strength of your battery. In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got a settings button, and then there's two buttons for arming: home, away, and quiet. Now, for some of you, you may not see this home button. If all you have is the motion detector on the main unit, then you're only going to have an away option. It's only when you start adding door window sensors and items like that that the second button will show. So if your system right now is only showing the away button, that's okay. And when we get into adding sensors, you'll see that this other button will show. Now for arming the system, we're going to ignore the settings button. The settings button is strictly for adding devices and changing text messaging and all those type of things, which we'll get into later. But for arming and disarming, the two main buttons that you need to be aware of is home and away. So arming the system, when I'm staying home, I simply push home and the system is on. What the home button does is activate all my door and window contacts, glass break detectors, and things like that. For motion detectors, I don't want them active when I'm in the home. I don't want them tripping when I'm walking around the house. So the home button automatically ignores any motion detection. So the motion in the main unit and any additional motions you may have added will be ignored when I'm in home setting. When I get up in the morning or I'm ready to leave the house, I push disarm, and then I put in my code, and my code on the system that I've got set up is 1234. When I'm ready to leave the house, I'm going to push the away button, and when I push the away button, I'm going to see another option come up, and it says pet on. Automatically, when I'm leaving the house, it's going to assume there's no one in the house. That's why I'm leaving. And that means there's no animals, there's no other persons that can move in front of motion detectors, so my motions are on. If I want to leave the house and I have a big animal or another person in the house, I want to turn the pet motion on, and now my option is off, but I've turned it on. And what that does now is ignore the motion detectors. I've told the system I no longer want the motions, and so now only my door window contacts are going to work. When I come home, I'm going to put in my code, and if I forget and put in my code incorrectly, just take a deep breath and then put in the code again and put it in correctly this time. If the system does go into alarm like you just saw because I didn't get my code in quickly, go ahead and just put in your code and press off, and then your notifications will come in. Your central station will call if you have a central station monitoring your system and those type of things, but it's not any big concern. All you do is just put in your code. Finally, you have a quiet button. The quiet button is if you are using your system as an alarm clock as well as an alarm system. You would have an alarm clock icon, and we'll go into that at another teaching. But if you're using this as a alarm clock and you have it in your bedroom and somebody is lying next to you and they're constantly being disturbed by you pushing the buttons, if you push the quiet button, now whenever I push buttons on the system, you'll notice that it's not making any noise. It's very quiet. So I can arm the system, put in my codes, and it's not making any noise. And then if I like the noise, I can push the quiet and the system will go back to alerting me as I push buttons.